I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we'll be learning the tarot cards, one card at a time. Today's card is card number 14 in the Major Arcana. I am using the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and you'll find the link below the video. I've also linked to the many books I've used for my research. In this video, we'll discuss what temperance means when it appears in a reading, the symbolism of the card, the meaning of temperance when it is both upright and reversed, including some examples from my life. And at the end, I'll provide you with some questions to help you better connect with the temperance card. So let's get started. So we've reached temperance and are now 2/3 of the way through the Major Arcana. Temperance falls between the Death card and the Devil card. It is really a breath of fresh air between what are probably the two heaviest, scariest cards in the deck. I'm sure that was intentional because we often get breathers in between difficult times in our lives. Temperance is not a word that most of us are familiar with. In the Bible, temperance is defined as emotional restraint or self-control. Basically, it means moderation. It is not obvious if the angel that is pictured is male or female, but many people believe it represents both the Archangel Michael and the goddess Iris. For convenience, I will use male pronouns. In this card, we see an angel with yellow hair and the symbol of the sun over his head. He has large yellow and blue wings. He is wearing a white gown with a red triangle on his chest. He is pouring water from one cup to another. At the bottom of the card, we see water. His right foot is in the water and his left foot is on land. On our right, we see irises. To our left, we see a brown path leading from the water in the foreground to blue mountains. What looks like the sun visible over the mountains is actually a crown. It looks like the sun/crown is lighting up the middle of the card. We also see balance between the blue water at the bottom and the blue mountains at the top. The whole card gives a look of peace and harmony. Temperance is a card about the blending of opposites and finding the middle, moderate way. It is also a reminder to be patient and go with the flow. The prominence of the angel also demonstrates the need to realize our spiritual potential. Let's talk about some of the symbols in the Temperance card. In this card, we see an angel that is a combination of Archangel Michael and the goddess Iris. Archangel Michael is described in the Bible in Revelation 10 verses 1-2 as an angel that stands on the sea and land with a rainbow on his head and a face that radiates like the sun. In the Bible, Michael was the angel that cast Lucifer into the abyss when he became Satan. The angel also represents the goddess Iris. She was the goddess of the rainbow that linked heaven and earth. The goddess Iris also officiated oaths taken by the gods, so this card can also represent taking a solemn oath. His yellow hair represents his spirituality. The gold disc on his forehead is over his third eye and represents his connection with spirit. While the sun above the mountain looks like a crown, the halo around his head has rays like the sun. This represents enlightenment and wisdom. The large red and blue wings are so expansive that they don't even fit in the picture. This represents that there is no end to possibilities and protection. The angel is wearing a white gown, which is a symbol of spirit, purity, and wisdom. On the chest of his robe, you see a red triangle surrounded by a white box. The red triangle represents the religious Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, while the square represents the four directions of the world. This symbolizes harmony between the physical and spiritual worlds. I cannot see this in my image of the angel, but this is what the books say. Above the triangle symbol are the letters YWYW, which is the Hebrew word for God. He is pouring water from one cup to another. Both cups are gold, which represents religion or spirituality. Look at the water. If you try this at home, you'll quickly figure out that water does not flow at a 45-degree angle, so there is definitely some magic involved in the pouring. The 3 lines in the water between the cups signify that something new is being created from the 2 streams of water flowing between the cups. At the bottom of the card, we see water. This symbolizes the subconscious. His right foot is in the water and his left foot is on land. The right foot represents emotions and the subconscious, while the earth represents the physical world. Although this looks a little wonky, this represents that the angel is clearly balanced between the two worlds. On our right, we see irises. Irises represent courage, hope, and wisdom. In full bloom, they represent happiness and abundance. The Greek goddess Iris was the goddess of the rainbow. To our left, we see a brown path that winds its way up the hill and over the blue mountains. The blue mountains represent the marriage of heaven and earth, another example of balance. This represents that your path may be a rocky one until you reach spirit, which is represented by the sun. Note that the angel's back is towards the mountains. It seems that he has put his difficulties behind him. The crown is visible over the mountains and the sun over the angel's head, and they are related. They show that when human will and the will of fate come together, we will reach our goals. When temperance is upright and appears in a reading, it means that you are acting with moderation, blending opposite forces to create something of great value, reconciling opposites and finding a win-win solution. It could mean that you are being patient, maintaining a cool head, cooperating with others, are on a path of moderation that leads to good health, vitality, and well-being, taking a solid oath, or being protected by your guardian angel. An example I thought of to represent temperance is hostage negotiations. As I'm writing this script in December 2023, the Israel-Hamas war has been in full effect for 7 weeks. This week they released 3 sets of hostages. Hostage negotiation is an example of temperance. You need a cool head to reconcile opposite viewpoints, which I realize is an understatement in this situation, and find a path of cooperation that provides a win-win solution. When temperance reversed appears in a reading, it is time for moderation. It might mean that you're having difficulty finding balance or going to extremes. It could represent impatience or hastiness, or overindulgence, excess, gluttony. This always makes me think of professional eaters. You are indulging in risky behavior. I would put competitive eating in this category, but maybe that's just me. And temperance reverse could mean that you are lying under oath. So here's an example of gluttony that I mentioned earlier, and that is competitive eating. I live in New York, and every 4th of July we have a hot dog eating contest, but there are many more contests where overeating is a sport. In 2014, Takeru Kobayashi set a new world record by eating 15.5 pizzas in 12 minutes. That is some serious gluttony. So how can you get to know temperance? Here are some questions you might want to answer. Number 1, is your life in balance? If not, how can you restore balance to your life? Number 2, where in your life are you overindulging? This could be eating or drinking too much, overworking, overexercising, overspending, watching too much TV, or spending too much time gaming. Number 3, where in your life could you be doing more? And number 4, where in your life could you be doing less? Number 5, how do you feel about moderation? Do you see it as pleasure or punishment? And number 6, do you believe in guardian angels? Do you have one? I'd love to have you post your answers in the comments below. And please join me for the next video, which is card number 15, the Devil.